Well, it's one of those things that when I was growing up, I didn't really grow up with horror media. Like, not that my parents shunned me, but I didn't really grow up around, I didn't have that, like, ooh, I watched The Exorcist at 6 years old by accident. My dad was actually really sweet because I grew up watching the Scooby-Doo animated film series, like the original Scooby-Doo film series growing up. Loved that series as a kid. And my dad was really nice when the James Gunn original live action film came out. My dad took me to see that film during a school night. Neither of us knew what was going to happen. And that film, sorry, not sorry, the plot twist is that the monsters are actually real and that they come out at night and in the dark. And it scarred me for life. It gave me absolute nightmares for like well over a month. So like I was always that scaredy kid, like could not handle horror until I hit college of all things. And then I started like kind of watching a few films here and there going, you know what? I should look into like the Alien series. I should look into this and that. And when I was in high school, I had started getting like very loosely into the Resident Evil series. It was kind of like one of those like slow burn sort of things. Like the more I watched, the more I realized how interesting they were and how from a technical standpoint, the practical effects or makeup was interesting. And I found that the more I researched into how these films were made, the more interested I was and the more easier it was for me to digest them. So now as a cosplayer, it's become like let me make a dress from one of these movies that I watched at 2 a.m. while I was crafting a dress, and I thought it was so much fun. It's like they've slowly become almost comfort pieces of media because I know how they are made and how intricately they are made and how much love and effort is put into them. And now as an adult, I'm like, yeah, let me buy movie tickets to go see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie because I love like how these video games were made. It's like that kind of cycle of love almost. I actually did during quarantine. I considered making like a princess dress that combined like classic slasher films, and I started building it. And then as I was going, like the momentum kind of sort of faded. Mm-hmm. Like I got about halfway through and I just kind of went, you know what, I'm not having as much fun with it, and I didn't finish it. I ended up actually repurposing some of the fabric for that dress into like a Silent Hill cosplay that I started building this year that I'll actually be debuting next week. So it's something that I've considered, but I do enjoy taking like very classic masculine video game characters and making them more feminine. For example, I took Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, who is like a protagonist of a very, very classic space horror, survival horror video game series that utilizes a lot of body horror, and I took that character and made him into a Sailor Moon Sailor Scout because I personally don't like to make armor, but I have never made a Sailor Scout uniform, and I think it's kind of fun to take a character who stomps zombies in space and make him into a Sailor Scout uniform, because why not? When TikTok started out, it used to be very cosplayer friendly, very like, as long as you were posting a cosplay, it didn't matter how, like what the quality was, you would get some views. Now it's like you have to work so much to it. I've like really burnt out from like the whole video standpoint of social media, which is a blessing and a curse because as a result, like I don't get as many views, but at the same time, it's like, well, how much do I need to do to get those views? So it's like sometimes I have to take a step back and say, you know what, I'm going to post the pictures that make me happy. I'm going to state whatever the heck I'm streaming on Twitch, and you know what, whoever views me and whoever catches me is whoever's going to catch me. It's so hard with social media to be so up to date with whatever the heck is trending.